Good morning to you all again. It's good to be here with you. I have to be honest and say that I am weary, my friends and siblings. I am weary from children and parents being sick. I'm weary from too many emergency room and hospital visits. I'm weary from the news of our world, where children are killing children in schools, where strangers are killing strangers on our highways, where too many people are falling victim to natural disasters in wildfires, floods, landslides, where millions are being lost to wars. I'm weary from a world that is suffering, from a world where Alaskan snow crabs are starving because our waters are warming and their metabolisms are rising and they don't have enough to eat. I'm weary from trying to do enough to make a difference in our world. I was relieved to see this morning that our readings were written to those who are weary. In our first reading, we have Isaiah speaking a message of hope to those who are weary in captivity in Babylon, taken far from their homes, far from their families, and are struggling. Isaiah's words say, "Do not be afraid, for your hope, your strength is in the Lord, the one who will come and save you, the one on whom you can lean and rely, the one in whom we find our strength in our vulnerability, in our ability to speak our truth, even when it's because we're weary. We find our strength in community, where we come to this place each week to find ourselves risen above that bar of fine or good enough or well enough. And we hope leave feeling good, revitalized for another week of living God's love and God's good news in a world that is desperate to hear it. Our second reading is written to those who are weary in our current world, to all of us who look around us and see our own culpability in the anthropogenic climate change that surrounds us, knowing that decisions that we make, even when they don't feel like decisions, are impacting microclimates and ecosystems around us. We're encouraged to listen, to watch for the signs in our world, the signs of hope, the signs of the presence of all those tribes and nations that come together to cry out with one voice and wait on the Lord, to do what we can as a global community to make a difference, to learn from each other, to learn from those signs, and to make a difference. And we hear in our gospel this morning that Jesus also grew weary. Leaving for Sidon, he just wanted to find a place where people didn't know where he was. And yet he couldn't escape notice. The Syrophoenician woman comes to him seeking healing for her daughter. And he speaks to her from that place of weariness, essentially calling her and her daughter the dogs who don't deserve the children's food. She responds in faith, but even the dogs eat the crumbs from the children's table. Taken out of his place of weariness, through her faith, he takes action. Her daughter is healed, and he leaves that place somehow renewed, rejuvenated, and goes to heal the deaf and mute man. Our faith teaches us, and on this Learning Sunday, we're encouraged to listen with new ears, with that transformed heart that we prayed for in our first week of creation. Listen with new ears to a world that is still filled with God's grace and hope, that is still filled with God's goodness and love, and in which together we can make a difference in each other's lives. We learn from our gospel that sometimes a change of scenery is necessary. We learn from each of our readings that mindfulness allows us to focus on one task at a time, that allows us to see that which we're doing in each moment as worthy enough of our attention that we may give it our focus, to let go of the other things that are making us weary and to focus on one thing at a time, whether it's in the relationships that sustain us, in the meals that nourish our bodies, or in the spiritual gatherings that nourish our souls. We learn from our faith how to be in this world in a different way that allows us to be weary and yet hope, that allows us to be weary and yet still act, that allows us to find ourselves with renewed vigor, able to carry on because what we're doing matters. Hope matters. Love matters. Each of our actions done in God's hope and love and forgiveness and care and nurture matter. They change lives, they change hearts, they change our world. And so I can be here with you, weary, and yet surrounded by care and love and hope and light that I hope each of you feels in this place, that allows you to be filled with that hope and love and light, and leave from this place, I hope, less weary than when you arrived. The tasks that are set before us as Christ's followers are to love. And at the root of it, that's not that difficult a thing to do. Sometimes in practicality, it is very difficult to do, but it is ours to do. And so filled with love in this place, may we be filled to overflowing with it, to take it out into our world, to address all of those needs that capture our attention, and remind us not to focus on all of them at once, lest we be overwhelmed, but just one at a time, loving through each moment, changing lives and hearts, and ourselves in the process.